always opportunities. You just have to think through them and figure out how can I make the best decision I can today to put myself in the best decision to do this again tomorrow. To where, because choosing to be your best is also a lot easier to do when you're on the offensive versus waking up the next day being overtrained and tired and sick, thinking, all right, now what do I have to do? It's about what you get to do and how you use those opportunities to make the best decisions that are going to set you up for success every single day.
Good Monday morning, Coach. See you over there.
Happy, I know, like we are like probably two of the only people who are like, wait, FaceTime? No, we're not doing this right now. Like most people are trying to connect as much as they possibly can, and you called me via Skype, and my face popped up, and you're like, all right, dude, let's start over. We don't need to see each other. We know exactly what we look like. This is about as much as connecting as we can handle right now. But hey, we hope everyone else is connecting. Welcome aboard, Crushing Iron Podcast 356.
Yes, it is.
And 356 of what I'm thinking is could very well might be one of our more important podcasts today.
It could
First
be.
off,
And so maybe we should call it number one.
yeah, that's
Number
right.
1A.
1A 2.0. But hey, first off, we appreciate you tuning in. If it's your first time listening, we cover all things triathlon. We cover all things life, how they intersect, how they complement each other, sometimes how they intersect and they take away from each other. And I think the combination of life and triathlon is something that we've always done in pretty much every podcast we've done so far. All the 355 we've done before this, as we come to twise a week, traditionally Monday and Thursday. But I think that that's going to be all the more important to discuss that going forward. So, but first, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'm Coach Robbie. That's Mike. We are both coaches and athletes participating in the sport, still very active in the sport. We work with athletes. We have a really awesome, to be honest, closed Facebook group. If you want to search that, it's called Crushing Iron Group. I would have to imagine people are probably going to be looking for a lot more ways to connect right now, no matter what the shape or form. So tune in, listen to the podcast, go back in the archives, dig deep, connect as much as you want, or hey, or as little as you want. This is for a lot of introverts. It's like your dream come true. I was giving Allie like a hard time the other day. She was, Hayden School was closed on Friday for the next 2 weeks, and so we're kind of hunkering down. We're I wouldn't say we're total introverts, but we are definitely comfortable in our introvert skin. And she's usually like very resistant to like chit chatting like around with like the neighbors and stuff, and avoids that and gives me a hard time because I'm actually decently chatty with our neighbors. They're a nice group, but we're under this like obviously tremendous amount of stress, and there's like this whole pandemic going on, and I turned around the other day and she's literally talking to like 6 neighbors at one time. I'm like, you wait for this to start being like the social network chit chat of the neighborhood, while the rest of the time we're like, being super comfortable with our introvert skin. But hey, it's a hard and stressful time for everyone, and we'll definitely dive into that today. But hey, we'll do the best we can. I really think this might be one of our more important podcasts, and hopefully setting you up for success for your whole year and in the years to come. To be honest with you, there's a lot going on. We'll cover it all today. Most of you, even if it wasn't a huge race, had some kind of event or race canceled in either the last 48 to 72 hours over the weekend, or have already been notified that races will be canceled going forward. I know most all March and April races have been kind of axed, and even small or large. I just got an email literally like 5 seconds ago that a trail run that only has like 150 people here in Chattanooga was going to be postponed. Ironman Texas postponed, Oceanside 70.3 postponed, Texas 70.3 postponed, a lot of the ones overseas postponed. We had an athlete that stepped into his Airbnb in Puerto Rico to do that this past weekend, and they got the notification that the race had been canceled. So we're all being affected some way. Everyone, no matter what you're doing or what race you have, you're all being affected in some way. And our hope and our goal for this podcast today specifically, and then going forward until we can just kind of ride this thing out, is to set you up for success and answer all of your questions and dig deep on the things you can do right now to not just set yourself up for success throughout this year and hopefully going forward, but also relieve some of your stress as just a human and a person that's living on this planet that's going through the things we're going through right now, whether you're a person who is super stressed out and anxious about it, or whether you're one of those people who thinks, whatever they want to, and this is all chill. We'll do our best to give you the most responsible and accurate info we can based on our own experiences. And a lot of it, to be frank, as I was kind of deciding on what the direction of the podcast was, a lot of it is stuff that we talk about already. And I think that hopefully our listeners are going to have a much better time or easier time wrapping their brain around the next few weeks and months versus maybe some other triathletes that are so rigid and unflexible and have maybe priorities and perspectives way out of whack. Well, now it's no longer a choice. Now it's just you have to kind of rearrange the way you think things. So I really do. I look forward to
Absolutely.
diving. Yeah, I look forward to diving into that today and just doing our part to set you all up for success. Hopefully, ease your minds, and then do our best to kind of, if we need to, reroute you in your training map.
Well, I gotta say, when you said this is our most important podcast, that kind of put a little stress on me.
Come on, dude. Like,
No, I'm- I mean, just because
important.
it's so weird. Like, my thing is, you look at it's just weird, man. And I agree with you. I think that we talk about this stuff all the time. So that's like this in my head. The one thing that I have in my head right now is don't be afraid, but be smart. And I think that's the kind of stuff we talk about. And and you're right. It's going to be different for a lot of people. And I think there's just really no option right now, depending on whether you buy into everything that's going on or not or whatever. It's real because it's real, right? Because what's happening is happening. So, like it or not, we kind of have to step back and look at what's going on. And this is really an interesting time for everybody, like you said, that had races coming up and they're peaking and they're getting ready to taper and whatnot. And now it's like, okay, do you take that and see what you got in you? Like I had a question, and I don't mean to jump right into it, but I had to have a question about people that did maybe have a race coming up in 2 weeks or whatever. Do they kind of go with that sort of like, hey, let's see what I got, or do they just take a step back and then just keep building?
That is the question. I mean, that's one of the. I mean, I we one. I mean, heck, our one of our team races for this year was Ironman Texas, an event end of next month, about 6 weeks out. A bunch of, I think, 30 plus of our athletes had just gone through like a recovery week and had just done their first of what I consider like an Ironman like race specific build. I don't do very long builds, and I'm even more thankful that that's not something that like a lot of people say, I'm already in my Ironman build. And they're like 16 weeks out from a race. And so that's one reason like I'm super thankful that we don't do like these huge long builds, because it'd be that much harder to kind of get ourselves back where we need to go. And I also am very, very thankful that this is that I have an opportunity to coach. This is like one of those very unique times in a profession where your your ability to help people navigate through a stressful time and be a part of what is something that's very important to them with exercise and training and stress relief and priorities. Like you have a very high sense of responsibility in helping everyone navigate. Everyone is so used to controlling the things they can control. And, I sent out multiple emails this weekend on just because I try to do my best to communicate to our athletes, like the the importance of what's going on, but also how things are going to be different, how things might be shaped, how your training might look different, and just really empower people to know that we can do this and we can just do it as honestly, just kind of as we have done, like week to week. Which is the beauty of not being on a training plan. I know a lot of people, and we'll hopefully help these people out as we can, and when we talk through some things on Thursday's podcast. But you look at people who are doing Texas 70.3, Oceanside 70.3, Ironman Texas. If they're not coached, even if they are coached, they're on these plans, and now they're kind of like, crap. Now what do I do? You find yourself in no man's land.
Right. Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is, and I said this in my email yesterday, is do make the best move for today. And that is an absolutely loaded question. And it's different for everyone. But what I told my athletes just via text as soon as I heard Texas was canceled, and I just said, take the weekend off, regroup, rest, and then we'll get back to work this next week. Because there are so many things you have to juggle, and like this podcast could easily be 3 hours long because there's so much to go into. But the
Let's try
first
it.
thing is the first thing is don't don't continue to train at the volume you were going to train. Like the opportunities that are out there now for people to train are either going to be very different or wide open. Like you're going to have people who aren't going to work and have no kids and have no responsibilities, and they're going to see this time as I can just hop on Zwift and just hammer it out, baby. And they're going to train significantly more, find themselves overtrained, or really just kind of, because the thing is, if you don't have a plan or a map, you're not really peaking, you're not building, you're just like trying to work out as hard as you can every week and assume that's going to make you fitter. Then you have other people like myself who, Hayden's out of school, Allie and I both work from home, which is great. We're very fortunate to have that opportunity, but the difficult part is that, well, our expectations don't change. Like we still have to meet a certain quota, we still have to do our job, we still have to do it well while managing a 3.5-year-old at home who we're trying to keep him on the same schedule. And so that brings its own amount of stress. You have parents, triathletes out there that are married who have multiple kids and now they're out of school. And how am I going to find time? And not only do I have to find time, but how am I going to use my time? Because now my pool is closed, my gym is closed. I usually go to the gym around the treadmill. I'm not used to running outside, or I'm used to doing my swim. Okay, well, I used to swim 3 days a week, and now those 3 hours are gone. So I'm going to replace that with 3 hours of something else. And the thing about it is that stress right now is high for everyone, whether you want to admit it or not. It stress is higher. Your life has been impacted, most of you, in some way, shape, or form. Your routine gone. Like your routine has been totally. And triathletes are the kings and queens of set schedule, structure, type A, done. And then you take away swimming, which I find less. I mean, nothing that's going on around the world is anything to laugh about. But I do find it humorous in times like these how so many athletes, triathletes especially, who just couldn't give less of a crap about swimming in the pool are now freaking out that they can't go swim. I'm like, dude, you should have been doing this the last 6 months, baby. Sorry. Like, it's just funny watching people. I don't have anywhere to swim. You're like, dude, you were swimming once a week for the last, 3 months. You were skipping, most of your swims. I think you're going to manage. But it's interesting to me that when we have opportunities taken from us, that now we find them to be that much more important. And we've talked about that a lot on many other podcasts about why I don't give days off, because you're going to take one anyway, but the point is work when you can, because then when opportunities are taken from you, like a lot of people have, they can't go to the gym, they can't swim, they can't use that treadmill, they can't do an indoor bike class with their friends, and maybe you've been ignoring all that, or maybe you decided to, oh well, I don't need to swim a lot or train that much, or I took November. Think about the athletes now who have taken off like November, December, January, February, and like, yeah, starting up, I'm going to get rolling. And now it's like, wait a minute, now what? They're going to be so behind the eight ball when things do come turn around, and when you can race, they're going to be that much farther behind. That's why I find it so important to absolutely, um, really, really focus on not focusing on doing everything you can to maximize your hours year round, but that's where the benefits are of being a year-round athlete who likes to focus, who likes to be consistent, who likes to be, who is motivated, who finds the time. It's like we waste so many opportunities because, and it's going to be highlighted even more over the next few weeks. It's been highlighted with me the last couple of days. It's like you have no excuses anymore. And I was emailing this earlier out to a buddy of mine. I said the last 48, 72 hours has really just highlighted to me how many excuses I make in terms of doing things around the house, or I don't have enough time, or I'm so busy. And now you're forced to not go anywhere. Well, you no longer have the excuse of, well, I don't really have time to make a healthy meal. I can't do it. I don't have that. Now you have time. Now what are you gonna do? Are you still gonna eat like crap and you choose to be healthy? Or projects around the house. It's like I found myself sanding our back deck yesterday. I was like, well, I've been putting this off for a while. I might as well do this. We bought stuff to do low. It's like when you have time now, it highlights opportunity. But it's how you use that opportunity for the next few weeks is going to make a massive difference in your life. Are you going to overload yourself and think, this is the question I've had the last like 24 hours, like a million times, is, all right, I can't swim today. What do I replace it with? You don't just replace things. Swimming, running, and cycling are not exact measurements of stress. An hour of swimming is not the same as an hour of running or an hour of biking. It's all about what was the intent and what was the expected result. and how do you want to maximize your time? And then the other hard part that a lot of athletes struggle with is, well, my stress level is much higher, but now I've got this time, so how do I manipulate my training? How do I change things up? Do I need to add more? Do I need to take away? And that's, again, like, that's why I feel a very high sense of responsibility being a coach right now, is to help these athletes navigate through all of these uncertainties, and all about things that are really struggling on, what do I do next? And so our Texas athletes have basically said, like, we're just going to roll things back, because you don't know, and let me say this first before I go on to like a huge tangent and probably talk for like the next 2 hours. Take it easy and stop being jerks to these race directors. They aren't in
Oh,
any
is
better
that really
shape than you.
happening?
Of course, it's triathletes. Of course, it's
I
happening.
know, but I
They're
mean,
the
come
most
on.
the most entitled group of athletes, maybe out there. Take it easy. People are literally doing the best you can. As this whole circumstance and scenario is highlighting just how selfish Americans are in general, in my opinion. Like, let's just focus and do our best to do our part in any way, shape you can, not as a triathlete, but as a person. Be kind, be respectful, be patient, and be understanding, because a lot of people are like, your level of stress over getting your race entry fee done is nothing. It's zero. It means jack shit, to be frank, compared to what other people's stress are right now, that are have their businesses closing, who are struggling to make ends meet, who the places they're going to, that they usually go to work, are now closed. Now they can't find a way to make things work out. Or you have people who are struggling with like things like depression, who already isolate, and now they're going to, like, I couldn't help but think back to, like, where I was 7 years ago, when I was like like an incredibly, like, all I did was isolate, 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 which was the worst thing for me. And I was drinking so heavily before I got sober. Like, if this happened back then, I don't know what I would have done. Like,
Yeah.
there are just so many people out there that need us to be more, to be better, to be more kind, to be more selfless, to not fill up your grocery cart with 98 things of toilet paper, but instead to look out and look, hey, you know what? I'm just going to take what I need, because I'm going to make it no matter, not no matter what, but just do the right thing and be kind, and not think about, again, it's like we talk about this when training is like, everyone wants to look short term. What do I got to do today for just me? Instead of looking at the long-term end goal, which is for us all to come out of this in a better space, like in a better spot. Like, there's so many things we can do right now that for many of us have been given a gift to, like, stay at home with your kids and your spouse, and like work on things, and have fun, and spend this time working on yourself and being positive. Like, everywhere there's an opportunity, there's an opportunity for growth and be better. Or you can choose that opportunity to be selfish and short-sighted, and not take care of other people. That's my rant. I'm gonna leave it right there.
Solid rant, man.
Thanks.
No,
Um,
it's really good. It's like for me, it's like tune your heart to the right channel right now. I think that's the opportunity you have. It's kind of like you said. I mean, this is a forced situation. It's a lot of it's out of our control. You can go to the grocery store and I was thinking about like how much do you get just because you just have this weird unknowing feeling and but you can't there's nothing. I mean, what are you going to do? Stock up for like a year? Uh, the and then you start thinking about what that means and like how ridiculous it is to throw things out of balance. It's a very selfish thing. And even like I'm in East Nashville, dude. I was driving through East Nashville. It is still destroyed from those tornadoes.
mhm,
So you've got tornado victims that don't have homes,
mm.
and they're dealing with this now. It's just unbelievable to really kind of think about. And so it really is like a chance to step back, and you really can't be anywhere else except today, or else you're going to start freaking out. It's like you have to trust that the overall goodness of humanity is going to somehow figure this out and pull through and be in a good spot soon enough. And I just like when I hear that people are giving race directors shit, I just don't. I like that doesn't even compute with me. Like, I could get, if they cancel the swim for some lame reason, but this is like, what? They have no choice. Nobody has a choice in anything. I mean, as I told you last night, all the restaurants are shut down now, And this like area is filled with musicians too, and most people work at restaurants over here. They're
Mm-hmm.
probably half broke, and who knows what's going on. And I don't know, man. It's like when you're thinking
It's
about training, it's like just chill a little bit here. I think
like
that's all
just
that.
Yeah, I love that about tuning into the right channel. It's like be a light. Like, I guess I also thought about, it's interesting like because of the specific population that this tends to affect that like I was also thinking before I got, it's always been serious it seems, but it's like, like how many times that in the past I've gotten like, jabbed or like comments from like my family that are like, why do you waste so much time running and exercising? And right now I'm thinking, thank you. This is why, because it helps me be healthy. It helps my immune system. Like I was reading an article about obviously the older you get, the more suppressed your immune system is. But if you exercise on a regular basis, it can reduce that level of how it degrades by 20 to 30 years. So a person who's like, 50 or 60 who's exercising, is training for a triathlon, is keeping really healthy, they're 60, but they might have the immune system as like a 30 or 35-year-old. That's why we do it. But right now is also why we need to be the best versions of ourselves, not as triathletes, but as people. Like, look out for one another. Like, be kind. Like, do things like I saw people where um, buying gift cards to your local restaurants. Like these are all things. Like I just find it really fascinating how I've been in the hospitality and customer service industry so much. Like you look at people like the people that pick up your garbage, the person who sacks your groceries, the person who's ringing up your bills. You're all freaking out to get 98 things of ramen noodles and 88 gallons of hand sanitizer and 100 rolls of toilet paper, just so you can like not talk to people and like think about the people who are in those positions that you've often taken for granted for the last, I don't know, maybe your entire life, that are trying to make ends meet while you're spending half of your savings that might need to drop in the bucket, and they can't even afford to make ends meet, and they don't know where things are going to come to. But here they are working in an environment that probably makes them feel uncomfortable and anxious, just so you can go out and buy more things than you possibly need, which is just a like microcosm of what the United States basically is you buy and you spend as much as you possibly can, even when you don't need it. You just want it because you're selfish, and that's what makes you feel powerful and in charge. Total false. So go out and do things that are nice. Like go back and look at look through your bank statement. And think, or you know what? For the last 3 months, I've gone and gotten my hair cut at this place every different, and then go online and buy the equivalent of the next 3 months. Like, all right, well, I spent $50 at this hair place that Frankie and Johnny's local place to me. About once every 4 to 5 weeks, I've gone out and I've gotten my hair cut and my beard trims. You know what? For the next 3 months, I'm going to buy a $150 gift card. I don't know when I'm going to use it again. I don't know if they're going to be open, but these things help people out. It removes their stress, which makes everybody a better person because people are idiots when they're stressed. Back to triathlon.
Hmm. All right. I kind of like those rants, man, but it's
I just
but
want
that's
like
what I keep thinking is like,
sorry.
no, it's
Make sure you tag the explicit lyrics on this one. It's just I
that was a whisper, explicit.
it was a
It's not
whisper.
as harsh. I think it was but no, yeah, I really, and, and it's the same tune that everybody talks about, but like, it's the panic part that's like that. Really, at the core of that, it's really selfish move because I find myself whenever I get in that thing, I'm just like, what about me? What about me? What about me? And you're right. It's like this is a perfect opportunity to not be about you, kind of. It's sort of it's a reset in a way. I mean. Um, and I know it scares people. Like, just don't watch all the news stuff, or like it's really. I can't. This is like that time, man. That kind of triggers me a little bit because like I used to work in news, as you know. We can go to triathlon after this, I swear. But like I just want to be clear. Like I'm not saying, I know news has the responsibility to get things out there, whatever. But I just want everybody to be clear on this. I was in the newsroom. I mean, this is a microcosm of what it's like in a local newsroom one night, and it was about an hour before we were going on for the 5 o'clock news or whatever. They had no real lead story. Everybody was bumming out. We didn't have any splashy kind of high energy story or whatever. And About 15 minutes later, I was in the newsroom and the assignment desk editor hung up the phone and screamed out, "Hey, we've got a homicide. 3 people were shot over." And the newsroom went, like, started cheering. Okay, so you have to understand that when they go to air, they're always looking for the most dramatic kind of angle because that's just what they do. So I'm not saying they're reporting lies or whatever the case is. I'm just saying they're always going to lean towards the amp it up, and I just think it's important to go in with small doses and or finding sources that can balance things out there.
Yep.
And that's, I guess, my rant today is that there's this dialogue going on about like how the media is. Like, it's true. I worked in it for 15 years. They they
That's it.
they
I thought it was like 20.
yeah, it seemed like 100. But anyway, that's my thing. So just chill a little bit. What they're saying is, I'm not saying it's lies, but I'm just saying it's on the pointy side of overreaching,
Well,
probably.
it's like we all do. It's you caught a
Well, sure.
fish. It's like you caught a fish. How big was it? Ah, it's about this big. And the next time you tell a story, it's about this big because everything we always need to make things bigger and more sensationalized because the truth is never just kind of good enough. It has to be over dramatized and sensationalized. But
It's the opposite of this podcast.
right.
The new,
So
that's good. That's kind of the point.
right.
Is that
It
we
is
say, hey, just be consistent and hang in there. It's not like
which
there's
is the
no
truth. Like
magic.
that's what I've told athletes. Like just stay the course. Be steady. Be smart. Like, but you can also be resilient and be responsible. Like, right now, just please just be responsible and don't be an idiot. Like that's all I can say. Um, but back to Ironman Texas and things like that. What can athletes do to make things different? Like I told the athletes that I work with that are in that kind of time frame is that we're gonna kind of strip it all down. We're definitely not going to continue on like we're pretending like it's going to happen. And that's what a lot of people are going to do. They're going to be that self-coach. They're going to continue on in that high volume. Oh, I'm already here in my high volume. And what's going to happen is like, so we always use the cake analogy, right? You really want to build a base and a durable, like you want to build the cake as much as you can. And then we're going to put the icing on top.
Mm.
Well, most people, a lot of people, not most, but a lot of people are gonna think, all right, I can already do 5 hour bike rides. Like I've got to keep it at that. I've got to keep doing it. That's what I need to do. Because I'm just gonna get better 5 hour rides. And a lot of people are gonna do this. And I got to be ready. I don't want to lose. The like the most hated phrase. I just want to lose this fitness. What's gonna happen is you're gonna keep building a cake and you're gonna start putting a little bit of icing on it with all these longer, more specific rides. Well, eventually, what's gonna happen is you're gonna build your icing so high it's going to smear and the whole cake's going to fall over.
That'd
And
be
you're going to
fun.
be done because there's only so much cake you can make, right? You always want a base and you can't have a big enough base. But what happens is you're only able or here's probably a better analogy because you really can't have a big enough base. Like there is no such thing as having too much cake. But what's going to happen is that your body is only able with the amount of volume you can do, the amount of intensity you're adding to it, and the amount of time you're trying to stick in these big long builds. Because again, that's why I'm such a huge proponent of not having these gigantic long, like 12, 16 weeks, quote unquote Ironman builds, because your body just gets stale. It's like I get what you're doing, and I'm there. I'm just okay. Let's just keep doing 100 milers slow with your buddies. Woohoo! That's really gonna get me fit. No, your body's like, I got it. I've adapted. Now what? And you just kind of get stale and you kind of flatline. You walk into race day thinking, and your body's like, I don't even want to do, like, I'm doing what now? Like, I thought we were just like, loafing around, doodling on our 3.5 hour zone one, zone two long, run walks. And then we're going on our 7 hour bike rides with our buddies going like zone one, like, okay. Oh, wait, now you want me to race? Oh, crap. I don't even know what that feels like because I've just been kind of meandering my way through. People are going to do that. And what's going to happen is they're going to make a cake and they're going to peak months before their race. And they're going to try and hold it. So they're going to overtrain and overtrain and overtrain and overtrain. So what's going to happen is your cake, you're going to make your cake and it might be beautiful. It might have sprinkles on it, might have some really fancy candles on it. Then what's going to happen is you're going to get to your race day and you're going to go take a bite of that cake. And you know what's going to be? It's going to be stale. Because you want to know why? because you done made it 3 months prior to your race because you kept making it and it's been done. There's only so much icing on you can put on a cake. There's only so much icing. And you're like, God, this really doesn't taste like it. What happened? Well, it's been sitting there for 2 or 3 months. There's just you have to go backwards. And I'll give you a game. I had athletes scheduled for like a 5-hour ride. Most of them, I bumped them down to 2 hours.
Wow.
Mainly because your fitness isn't going to go away, but you can't stay at peak. Like, and that's one of the biggest misconceptions to try to. I'm at this level. I'm just going to keep it here. No, you're not. You're gonna stay there, and you're going to be getting the worst bang for your buck, the worst return on your investment for all of your time to do this, and you're just going to keep thinking that you're going to hold on to it. And well, I was going to swim 3 days this week. I'm going to take those 3 hours and I'm adding on like 3 hours of running, or I'm going to up my intensity. And you're going to dig yourself a hole. The best thing you can do now is just go back to the basics: speed and strength, speed and strength. Be consistent, get the work in, rearrange your schedule if you need to, but just be smart with it. For athletes that haven't had races that have been disrupted, stay the course. Totally stay the course. Don't live in a problem that doesn't exist yet. You can be cautiously optimistic, you can be a realist, you can be an optimist, whatever you want to call it. Like Chattanooga 70.3, I find that it's like right on the cusp of maybe it hasn't been canceled yet. It's a ways away. Let's just see what happens, baby. Let's roll on. And so you've got athletes that are zoned in training, and then now it's like, all right, swim is taken away. Well, let's be honest. And I said this to our athletes. Well, you always ask, why do we swim so much? Why do we swim so much? Why do we swim so much? Guess what? This is why we swim so much, because not swimming now is going to have less of effect on the people who swim once a week. And now they're going to have no pool access for maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Have fun getting back into swim shape after that. It's going to
I
be
know.
miserable. Swim coming
Hey,
up
do you
like
have
you
anything? I
made
mean, I
your
know.
bed. You made your bed. Sorry,
Yeah.
I got no sympathy for that. Do you have any what?
That's like the question right now. I mean, like for me, I always just say push-ups, and that's what
Like
I do.
like
Like in
I
row machines or whatever. But
most want to have access to row machines because they can't go to the gym or they don't want to
yeah,
go to the gym. Like they don't want to put themselves in situations like this is the thing. Like it's been at the heart of our podcast for so long is that, like people are making decisions right now too that they might have older parents that they're coming into contact with. They might have kids that are immunocompromised. Like we have Hayden who while this, virus isn't like specifically targeted or seems to be like at young kids, he is immunocompromised and has always had a respiratory problem. So we're being super cautious about the decisions that we make because it affects him. And so you have a lot of people who are in that situation who are just not going to the gym. They're not going to the pool. And now it's like, well, now what do I do? Well, and I said this in my email yesterday to our athletes. It's like, well, I would rather I'm probably going to schedule you for a 25 or 30-minute run over having you muddle your way through some swim cord workout to keep your swim strength. Sorry, it's definitely not the same as swimming hard and getting that fitness in. But people are going to have like the people who've been lazy on their swim are going to be paying are going to be paying for it when the time comes. And so you're doing Chattanooga 73. You don't have to swim. Well, you know what? It's a 1.4 mile downhill downstream swim anyway. You're gonna manage. Like races in later year like Louisville and in Chattanooga, like you're gonna be fine. Ironman Wisconsin, a different story. It's a lot to manage, but again, like you can't just replace 3 hours of swimming with one thing. Everything has an impact. Everything has an expected result, and the stress is totally different. Like a running stress and swim stress are totally different. Same with the bike. Like it's all about being specific. And so with that, I would just kind of stay the course. But for those people who were kind of waiting on an announcement of a postponed event, so many people had like St. George. I don't see that happening. That's the first one in May. They may make a decision about it. I think it's like May 2nd or something. But you look at like things like Texas, and it's Texas 70.3. You're training for a marathon. You've been doing this whole year. Now it's like, now what do I do? They're not going to postpone it and then be like, email. All right, everybody show up in 72 hours. Ironman Texas is this is on Sunday. You gotta come. Like if you don't come, sorry, you're not. They're not going to do that. They're going to they're working right now, I'm sure, with local authorities or local businesses and Ironman itself, and probably just wait and see. It's like when they can do. They're going to give you at least, in my opinion, 2 months. Like I can't fathom them being like, all right, it's May 1st. You know what? You guys got to show up on July 1st. It's time for Ironman Texas. No, I think they're going to give you more time. And so the point is, and I stress this with all of like the Ironman builds we do, is like for me, for the way that we coach and work with athletes, you want to be in the best 70.3 shape you can possibly be. And that's it. I think you need to be in the best 70.3 shape you can possibly be in. Faster, stronger, covering the distance a little bit quicker, being able to recover better. And then when it's time, baby, we can pull that trigger. And now we're going to turn our fast into far. Seriously, all you really need is 6 to 8 weeks. And I've had athletes tell me, I've asked me, how long do I need to make this transition? If you're in really, really good 70.3 shape, you only need 6 to 7 weeks to turn a really good Ironman performance. That's all you need. Take a 2 week taper because you not have train 20 hours a week for 9 weeks, and then let it rip. Just let it rip. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to have a ton of athletes who are going to come into this race, the end of the race year, more overtrained than they've ever been in their entire life, because they've been, quote unquote, working from home, or they haven't had to go places, they've been stuck inside, they've been biking and running so much more. Like, I'm going to bet you, and they're going to dig such a giant hole, and they're either going to peak way too early or they're going to overtrain, and they're going to have a terrible race. And then the other flip of the coin, which I think is going to be really interesting, is there's going to be a slew of people who have chronically overtrained in the past, who are now, via life circumstances and the way things are being dealt, are going to go from thinking they can train 20 to 25 hours a week down to like 15 to 16. And they're going to go into these races being more fresh and more healthy than they've ever been. And they're going to absolutely tear it apart. These things happen. We talked about it, like, kind of coincidentally a couple of podcasts ago, about, Tim O'Donnell and Ben Hoffman, like their incredible race results at Kona this last year, coming in so much more undertrained than they used to, and them giving credit to the fact that that's why they were able to do what they did. Like, it's a interesting time in the sport, because we're obsessed with, like, I'd love to see the interesting, like, dynamic of, like, trying to have a conversation with your countdown clock. All right, well, had Ironman Texas. Well, now it's not here. Well, I don't even know what date to put it on. Now what do I put on my countdown clock on my Garmin? Or how many days till what? How many days till what? I don't know. That's the beauty of it. Like, again, like, that's why, if you are a person who just loves to get better and loves to be process oriented, this perspective shift isn't really that much of a shift. Now it's time for you to thrive, because a lot of athletes are probably struggling. There are probably tears shed. There are probably massive meltdowns, like, about their race getting canceled, and like, there's always opportunities, and the opportunities to come down the road, but you have to be supported. You have to feel empowered. And like I said, like, this is a one of those times where most athletes who have a coach right now are super thankful that they have one to help guide them through this period of who knows, or make it. Like, I told the athletes we had training for at Texas I think in a email or Training Peaks comment on Friday before they canceled the race, that I was more than likely going to make my own decision to pull them back on their training, even before Ironman Texas made their call, because I didn't want them to have done all this work and peak too early and then have a very struggle of the rest of the year. Because we were so early, we were only like 8 days into our build, not even that, like a week into our actual Ironman specific build. So I could
Mm-hmm.
catch it, and most of them had just done a recovery week, so they're already fairly fresh. So, like, I could catch this quick, and now we can just be in like a really, really good 70.3 shape. But it's always helpful whether so reach out to friends, coaches, whoever, your own coach, and troubleshooting. Like, how can I better understand what's going on right now? How can I be in the best shape that I want to? How can I use this time not to do more, but to use time wisely, right?
Yep.
Focus on things, do the best, focus on the things you can. And because, again, more isn't always better. It's all about the right balance. And right now, balance is going to be hard because you have so many stressors with work, with kids. I was joking to Ali. I was like, maybe we should tell people, hey, if you need relationship advice on what it's like to be stuck in the same house with your significant other for weeks and months on end because you both work from home and you have a 3-year-old and you've been through this before, like, reach out. Because so many people that are in relationships to where they actually probably thrive on that distance of work and separation. And when I'm traveling now, you're all of a sudden like, like stuck on the couch and you look over and you're like, who is this person? Oh, that's my wife. That's like now you're there, like, together like 24 hours a day, maybe for whoever knows how long. Like it's a very stressful time for a lot of people. And that's why it's that much more important to help navigate the whole situation.
Yeah, I think you guys should put up webcams around the house, and so we can kind of see how it's going.
So yeah, well, it's right now we are teaching is what we're doing right now. I was
Oh, okay.
coloring and doing puzzles and sticking
Hey,
to our
listen, man, that's but you're the last point you had there. I think that's probably one of the more underrated points about training for Ironman. And since we're talking about Ironman, um, is that we talk about it before, the confidence, right? Because I just feel like in my gut that a lot of people want to be confident in that, like last big ride 8 weeks out. It's like
hmm
I just want to have that, in my pocket so I know I can do it, and then I'm going to do it a few more times just to make sure that I'm ready. But this idea of actually peaking at your race is a real hard one for people to swallow, I think, just from a confidence perspective and especially unknowing. But the more I get into it, the more I realize. And I think, way a long time ago, one of our podcasts, we were talking about this, and I started thinking about it. It was like sometimes there's a real benefit out of like kind of deciding to go into a race a little later or something like that. And if you're in fairly decent, like you say, I like how you put that, like being really good 70.3 shape, and then it really doesn't take a whole lot. If you've done a couple, or you're confident in the distance, to turn that.
hmm
And like to that's one of the things, like as I go into this, and might have that last big ride, the one you really want to nail a few weeks out. That's like the first time, and more or less that or maybe the second that you've actually done that. So it's like you want to kind of get done with that and go, I really want to do that again. I feel good about that. I want to do that again. Oh, you can't do it for a few weeks or a couple weeks, but you're going to do it. And it's that energy level, it's that mindset, it's that like excitement about going for it rather than just being completely like fried
hmm
after you do it. And that's the point, right? Is it's like all these, this big recipe just comes together, and that day of race day is hopefully your best ride of the year.
Yep.
And I just think it's very difficult for a lot of us to wrap our heads around that right in the middle of it, because every time you go out there, you want to be like, yeah, I could do it today. I could race today. And that could be 8 weeks out. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. It's almost like you have to be like, I'm not quite ready, but I'm really getting there on the right path. And it's hard to trust that.
Well, I mean, I think the other way we all need to reframe things right now is when I do get to race, I want to be ready because you're going to be so itching to want to race because you've been waiting for so long, or the anxiety of the opportunity of not racing has been looming that when you do get to race, you want to be your best. Like you want to be able to use that no matter when it is. Like again, that's why it's so important to not look at every year as like this is every year as their own expiration date. It's like you look at your triathlete life cycle and your experience in your hobbyist career as a triathlete, and I just want to keep getting better and stronger and faster and enjoy it, and this is a part of my life. Okay, so let's keep it a part of your life. You can keep getting better under any circumstances. You just have to be flexible. You have to prioritize. You have to manage your stress. You have to manage the load that's associated with that stress and how your training stress and life stress now are impacting each other. And that's like no man's land is the like biggest, it's like the hell of all triathletes, living space is like I don't know what to do or what to focus on or what part of my training I should be in or what my race day is. Like, but you can always just train to get better. And like there is no wrong date for that or wrong day for that. You just wake up, you do your best, you do what you can do and move on. Like if you've ever needed more like more of an example that you can't control things, this is it. Okay? This is it. Like if you can't wrap your brain around the fact that like that's just it. Like you can't control, but you can always be your best and be ready when that time comes. And most people need to kind of dial things back to say, hey, I want to be ready when the time comes. Not to be ready tomorrow, but ready when that time comes. So I got to do the best I can today with my training to figure that out. I need to be healthy. I need to make smart decisions. I need to put myself in the best situation I can be each day, not just for today, but for the long haul. And that is a kind of, again, paradigm shift for so many athletes. It's like they don't know that. They only have expiration dates. They only have a training plan that ends on July 1st, or they only have a race day that's on the calendar that they've been marking on and counting down for. And now it's like, now I don't have to count down. Now, where's that pressure? Where's that motivation come from? Where's that sense of urgency come from? Oh, I don't know. It becomes something you want to do every day. Like, do embrace the obstacle that is the unknown of, I just, because really, it needs to be a stress reliever. All I really have to do, you mean, is just kind of wake up and do the best I can with the life that I have right now and the restrictions that I have? Okay. Because you have that many, like that fewer choices. Like the more choices athletes have, usually the worst. Because they'll make the wrong choice or they'll overthink it. All right, well, all I can do now is this, this, and this. All right. Now my everything has been shifted. Now I gotta do this. Okay. I've only got two choices. Sweet. Like it should relieve stress in a lot of ways. Like and do things that are just right now you have to choose. And I had to tell myself this morning. First thing I woke up, because to be honest, like the last 2 days have been just like super stressful. Like I knew this week is going to be super hard as a coach, like having to basically rework everyone's schedule after you get like 2 weeks ahead because you plan on going out of town and having like a team camp and you're trying to do the right thing by being getting ahead of time, and now you have to rework everything, and you want your athletes that are like, schools closed and pools are closed and access is different and race change is different. They're no longer doing this, so it's a lot of responsibility. And I wasn't just stressed about that. I was just stressed about everything that's going on, and then having a 3-year old who I have to like manage, and who's like has a different mood swing every like 32 seconds. And managing that, and I had to tell myself when I woke up today, I was like, just relax, man.
Yeah.
Relax, do what you can, do the best you can, and embrace these opportunities to maximize the time that you have with what you have. And like little things, like my goal for this week is to run more miles than I drive and even walk my dog more miles than I drive. Um, like little things like that I feel like we can do better as like small goals. And instead of like hopping into work this morning, like I took Kona for a walk and had some coffee and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get the stuff done today that I need to get done. I'm also super, super grateful and fortunate to work with like so many athletes that are like that have those heads on their shoulders. They're like, dude, I get it. Like, we're gonna have to be flexible this week, but that's what you need to be, because if you're too rigid, you break. And I just think it's a great time to focus on those things and work on the things that we can do and be present. And I think it offers too. It highlights how much we waste our time on things that just like give us like zero return. And so that we just got to be present, stay in the moment, and do the best we can, and focus on that every day. That's it, and just make good decisions. Set yourself up for success, and I know that's hard, and I know that a lot of triathletes are right now finding themselves in that unknown of in between of like, where do I go, what do I do, how do I move forward in this. And it's just you got to make the best decision that you can for each day. And you can't assume that you're going to have something in 3 weeks. Just got to do the best you can each day, adjust, move on, do your best.
Well, man, that's just like that's really how it should be. So I'm glad, like in a way, it's like this does give us an opportunity to kind of think like that. I think we should think like that all the time, really. Just be great because you never know what's out there, what's, the opportunities you have. You can't. We get into this groove of, just expecting everything to be how it is and whatever. And if it's a good lesson to be in the moment. I mean, it's like a really good time to relax, sort of rejuvenate, kind of focus on things like you're saying, walking the dog more, taking that neglect out of your life. And, for me, it's like trying to be more consistent with things like meditation, yoga, better sleep, not whatever. And, but I'm always on that path and it's harder than that. It's a good time to delete tri-calc. It's, that app, just get rid of it
Hmm.
for now, and just take it day by day. It's like focus on, you know, we talked about swimming earlier and what to do in lieu of it. I think, you know, this probably a lot of triathletes neglect things like core work and just different exercises they can be doing. If you got a little time, now is the time to find a rhythm with it, and find a little when you're mastering something, you simplify it to the bare bones. It's uh, just do those things like you're saying, because you'll have it's almost like this question of, man, I've got all this stuff to do, I feel like, but and then you kind of like get tongue-tied and you don't do a lot of it. Well, just start doing some of it and find a new good habit. Like you said, I think for me, walking the dog is a great habit to build. And it's like you got the time. I know it feels like sometimes that like stuff's spinning out of control, but when we can step back and just address those little things like that, I think that is the probably Ryan Holiday writes a lot about that. It's all you got in front of you. Just do things and build that cascade of simple little habits.
It's simple, but I mean, hey, and it's a great time to create those simple little habits. Um,
Yeah.
and take time because we always like, oh, I'm just too busy. I'm just too busy. I'm too busy. Well, guess what? You ain't busy now. That's like you can no longer use that as an excuse. Like I just don't have time. I'm busy. I'm like, man, you ain't that busy. You just choose to make yourself busy with other things. Like that's the reality of the situation. Like that was a conversation I had a long time ago. It was like, stop saying you don't have time. Just saying I do have time. I would just rather use my time to do this. So right now, when a lot of us will have more free time to do things, and some of us less in different ways. Like you have to manage having your kids at home and different expectations around the house, and your work is probably everyone has a different work situation. But it's like, okay, now what's your excuse? You tell me you don't have time to read. You're working from home, and you used to go to work and travel, 1 hour each way. You've now freed up like 2 hours a week. Okay, you want an opportunity to eat healthy? Eat healthy because you're not going to have any bars and restaurants to go to. That's most people's like biggest thing is they go out to eat too much. You can save money, right? So buy things and create like opportunities to make this a better experience and do the things that you frankly have just been too lazy to do. It's like I think it's going to really force people into hopefully some better habits like that you can create and get like really dialed in on, and you know be a great time to probably stop smoking, or stop, knocking out 19 ounces of vape or whatever it is people do like right now. Probably a good time to quit that. Like get in shape and eat healthy and do the things you want to, not sit at home and eat Wendy's all day long. Like you need to be smart, take care of your body. Maybe this will be the unfortunate catalyst that some people need to like make that change and make that turn their life around. Like yesterday alone, like I think I saw 30 of our neighbors walk by our house, walking. Never seen it ever. And I understand like a lot of it's like being cooped up and they don't want to like, sit there, but I think it could also like be a game changer for people if you see it that way. If you see it to be an opportunity to get better and do things that um, you can do to take care of yourself, and that is with getting outside, when it's responsible. That's what's going out on runs, riding your bike, doing things inside, working out. Like it's a great time to show your kids how to do things. Like Hayden, yesterday Allie was doing like a home workout and uh downstairs in our where her TV is, and Hayden was like, I want to do it. And so he got out like his own little mat and like picked up these like two, like I think a hammer and like a drill, and used those as barbells and was like doing his own little workout. It's like it's just a great opportunity to instill some things that should be the most important with life, not just with your race that was in 3 weeks that it's like, listen, if your biggest stressor is how am I going to rearrange my profile pic that said hashtag Texas, 2020, and now you don't know what to do with it, like you're fine. You're just fine. Like if that's the biggest thing you're worried about, you're just fine. Focus on getting better. Focus on what you can do each day, not just be a better triathlete, a better person who's more fit and more healthy, but just be a better person, a better spouse, better friend. Connect with people, like connect with people who don't have an opportunity or are having a hard time. Don't belittle people who may come across as having more anxiety about this whole situation than you are. It doesn't mean they're weak. It doesn't mean they're freaking out. It just means that they have different perceptions of their own reality that are more sensitive. Just like other people might not freak out about some things, you might not freak out about others. Like be supportive, because I think that's just we need more support anyway, and just be responsible in your training and your day-to-day life and how you're using this time, and use it wisely. It's not a time to overkill and overdrive and overstress. It's time to take each day as you can and make the best decisions that you can. Um, like I mean, I made that decision on what was it, Saturday. I went to go out for what I was wanting to be like either at least a 30-mile run or an 8-hour run. Um, and to make up for the race that got canceled like the last minute that I already changed to because Claremont camp got canceled and I canceled the next morning. To be like, it's like the ultimate being trying to be flexible. And I had to leave and it was like pouring down rain and I was like, I think 12 miles in and I just made the decision to stop. Not because I couldn't go anymore, not because I was too tired, but because I thought to myself, all right, I've been running for 2 hours in the pouring rain on these trails. It's cool out. I'm already wet. I could totally see myself getting sick. I could totally like dig myself a hole that's going to make me more susceptible to picking up something. Am I thinking about myself in this challenge, or am I thinking about putting Hayden in the best space I can put him in and doing the best I can for my family? I was like, all right, I'm hopping in the car and heading home. Like there's just responsible things you can do, and you can call it overreacting if you want to, but much of life is about making decisions that don't just affect you but affect other people. And you can take care of yourself while also being a resilient realist. And so I think that right now, if you're a triathlete and you don't know where to go, you don't know where to head, you don't know what to do, how do I train? What do I train? What do I do? How do I place? I've been working this plan. Like, there's always opportunities. You just have to think through them and figure out how can I make the best decision I can today to put myself in the best decision to do this again tomorrow. To where, because choosing to be your best is also a lot easier to do when you're on the offensive versus waking up the next day being overtrained and tired and sick, thinking, all right, now what do I have to do? It's about what you get to do and how you use those opportunities to make the best decisions that are going to set you up for success every single day and 6 months from now and 8 months from now, not just today.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Good. By the time we got one of those in.
I know, right? Well, yeah,
Um,
man. Evolution, growth, transformation. Let's do it. Stay positive as
Stay
much as you can.
positive.
Keep the
Um,
lungs clean and clear. Move it out, man. That's what
keep
that's
the
gonna that's what's good for you right now. I mean, that's
exercise every
it's good for
day.
you every day, but like now it's a good time to make that a priority. And like you were saying earlier, I can attest to it firsthand that as you get older and you continue to exercise and stay strong, it does make a huge difference in your immune system and your resiliency. I mean, for a fact, I'm walking evidence of that, I think, in a
You
lot of
are
ways.
walking evidence.
Walking
Right now, you're sitting
evidence.
down evidence.
But
And
I've
we
been doing
don't
tricep raises on my chair.
try
Just
during
little,
this podcast.
every once in a while.
You
While
get
you're,
you getting your what do they call that? Getting your pump on?
I'm
You
getting
getting
my
your
pump. It's
pump?
like, what do they call
Getting
that?
your pump
Office
on, right?
space exercising.
Right. It's
Or
right. I was like getting my pump on, baby. Whoop whoop. Like you're about to walk into the bar, in college, you're like, I get at a park and I do a couple push-ups so I look swole when I walk in. Um,
that's my
and
game.
hey, we don't. That's your game, I know. As we're wrapping up, we don't do, and we nor do we have any sponsors, but sometimes we do like to support and sponsor out other people. We don't get kickbacks or anything, but I have. Yeah, because I do think this is like you might not call it sponsoring other people, but you can call it supporting other people in our business that where people involved with the race industry that support and are people who fill the needs and services and interests of people in all endurance sports. A lot of them are going to be struggling from your local running store to online nutritionists to coaches to your local training facility to your group training. Everyone's going to be affected in some way as everyone makes decisions based on doing the best that's what's for them. The past few months, I've actually been working with like my own nutritionist to kind of help basically force me to eat veggies and fruits because I'm like the laziest person ever when it comes to that. And I have, honestly, I've loved every second of it. I've eaten more fruits and vegetables in the last 2 months than I have in probably the last 2 years. I'm down 13 pounds from just kind of sticking with it. And I just wanted to give her a shout out today and support her. She does this part time. Um, you want to look into what she does, she's awesome. She's been working with Allie and I both. Her meals and her stuff they're super good, and they're really tasty. And I say that as a guy who like used to make fun of kale. And last week I found myself telling Allie I was like, I kind of miss my kale salad. And I never thought that I would say that on air because now I feel less about myself. But um, is go over it. Her
Robbie
website
Roll.
is Robbie Roll. Yeah, she's not, dude. Don't even start, man. I am I'm gonna have coffee and beef jerky at 2 p.m. today just to revolt. But no, if you wanna know more about what she does, you can go to www.flynutrition.org. That's fly as in FLY and the nutrition.org. All of her services are listed in her programs and services, and she is going to give a discount to every one of our listeners, every one of our team, 15% discount. And if you want to know what that actually means, that means you could basically get a month worth of daily meals and snacks mapped out for you with the grocery list for under $100. Which is super cheap, and she just does an awesome job. And I know that she reached out and said that she was fearful of this business, and she also works in a hospital. And her husband manages a manages a local running store, and how this can impact everything that she does. And to be honest with you, now is the best time to focus on your nutrition. You literally have no excuse if you're at home. You have all the time in the world to make your meals and to make healthy choices. And if you want to be the person who's put on 25 pounds because all you've done is eat ramen noodles and Oreos for the last 3 months, or you could be a person within a couple of weeks walks out a thinner, leaner, more healthier version of yourself. I don't know. Choose to do that and choose to make the stuff priority. So reach out to her, tell her you heard about us from Crushing Iron, and she's awesome. She'll take care of her. That's the last plug I do because I don't like the way that this sounds, but I just want to support people. And she's awesome. She deserves it. So reach out to her. Again, that's flynutrition.org, or you can email her directly at Kylie, Kyle, at flynutrition.org. Check out the website. And now, back to our show.
Back to our show. Yeah, I mean, in the store, it seemed like the produce section was the only one really full over there too.
I
So
know.
it's like,
Right?
whoa. Uh, yeah, it's a good time for that. I mean, if the stores stay open, of course, which
I mean,
hopefully they will. Please don't tell me that.
don't start with that.
I'm sorry. Um, yeah, and also think about, like, okay, your race just got canceled and it bums you out. Just think about if there was no Ironman event, you know? I mean, it's like a time to reflect on something like that. It's like, wow, we have they give us an unbelievable opportunity to do something we love. And I think sometimes it's real easy to start taking that for granted. So
Mhm.
put that little seed in your pocket and marinate on it.
It really is. It's like now is like the best time to take care of yourself. So do things right, eat right, plan accordingly, do things that are set up for success. And that's why um, I wanted to give her a plug today, because I want to support people who have small business. I want to support people who are trying to make a difference. And because listen, the truth is that if you don't support them now, they're not going to be around for you to support them in the coming weeks and months, because they're going to the things that you take for granted, like race directors and events and people who do online anything, or coaching and doing in-person things, like they're not going to be around, because if these don't happen for a while, people are going to impact. They got to make choices to take care of themselves. So right now, if you can, take care of them as you take care of yourself. It's a everything is circular. Take care of yourself, do the best you can, make the best decisions, and we'll all come out of this as more of a team and better in the long haul.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're in the Nashville area, stop by our buddy Lee,
Yes, Nashville
Nashville
running,
Running
or
Company.
just call them,
Just
and
call him.
order something.
Yeah, just do that. Nashville Running Company. Small business, great place.
Yeah,
They just got missed by that
I know.
tornado, like
Just got but,
50 feet, literally.
yeah.
So everybody's over there, everybody's, there's a lot of good, I'm sure, coming out of it. It's easy to kind of see the negative stuff, but like really, a lot of people that I've been talking to have been rational and chill about the training, and they understand things are going to change, and we have to adapt. That's what
Mm.
we do. And beware of short-term pleasures and overdoing it in this time, and stay on path. And we should have a 30-day transformation, like contest, like eat healthy, and like people will be like, "Who are you?" Oh man, it's
Exactly.
like, what have you been doing the last month?
Hmm.
Changing, transforming in a good
Exactly. It's
way.
now is the best time. Like you can emerge from this, coronavirus cocoon as a beautiful butterfly.
Oh, so poetic.
Make
All
that a
right,
t
let's end it on
baby.
the poetry.
Let's end it. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or really just honestly need some help during this difficult time, reach out to Mike directly, crushingiron@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments, or need anything from me, I'm at c26coach@gmail.com. If you want more information on our training, coaching, and community and camps, you can head over to our website, c26triathlon.com.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it, man. It helped me. I know it helps me to talk it out. So,
Helps me. As long as we're not staring at each other's face on screen time, this has been good.
all right.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. Thanks.